The snow-muffled mountain slopes owned by Ichikawa Laboratories did not deal favourably with intruders, and that was the idea. Since founding his labs in 2086, Aritomo Ichikawa had insisted on procedures of rigour against commercial espionage. So when Leonora and Manfred Clay decided to break out, they faced a conundrum: how to regain their liberty. The only place of bug-free sanctum was their bed. They drew up a private legal agreement between themselves and Aritomo, allowing them a respite not granted to others, on condition that, as they agreed they would, they tried for a child. To buy time, Leonora ingested enough estrogen to upset her cycle. The moment she became pregnant, the agreement would end. And so they talked in semantic vacuum. Manfred had a Korean contact in the outside world who would conceal them for a day or two. After that, they would need to be hidden from Aritomo's assassins. Leonora had a contact who knew the great firewall buster Goodman Awuku. And of course they had the Swiss bank account set up before joining Ichikawa, an account not much smaller than the GDP of a small country. So there was hope of success. If only they could get out of the mountain stronghold. Aritomo prided himself on the sophistication of his visual recognition software, boasting to all that no human being could approach his labs. He posted no guards on the retaining walls, knowing escape through the snowfields was simply too dangerous to attempt without external assistance. Choppers were the only method of entry and egress. Until Leonora had a thought. Non-human visitors were not on Aritomo's list. Smuggling a solitary wasp into their bedroom, she housed it under a glass. Taking the dragon watches given to them as a gift of good fortune by Aritomo when they joined the labs, she extracted their processors so that she and Manfred could glitch the wasp. It was the work of half an hour to write a suitable program into the processors, set it to activate at sunrise next day, then release the wasp. They waited. Not knowing how the real world would react to their program, they had to guess a departure time. From the lowest storeroom of the labs, at the time when they were supposed to be making a baby, they squeezed through a vent and followed a tunnel to the external wall. A 20-foot drop awaited. Snow cushioned their fall. A culvert led them onto the slopes, where they hid. They could not use any tech because the Nexus would detect a trace if Aritomo's sensors did not, so they had to assume everything was working. Still hidden from Viz where, they slipped and fell down the precipitous culvert to a wide ledge. And then, far off, the light they hoped to see. A St. Bernard rescue dog, invisible to Aritomo's sensors. Knowing they remained well within Aritomo's far security field, they shouted and waved so that the dog would see them. 20 minutes later, it wagged its tail by their side, sniffing around in the snow as if for the buried avalanche victim it had expected. Around the dog's neck hung a rescue sled, ultra-carb food and drink. They unfilled the sled, allowing it to harden, then tied it to the dog. It pulled, struggled, slipped in the snow, then managed to get the sled running with them concealed inside it. So they slid their way 58 kilometres to the nearest town, frozen, exhausted. By the time the fake story created in the Nexus by the WASP-carried program had given them false identities and an entire backstory, it was easy enough to get a train to Niigata, then a boat to an East Korean beach, where they met Yuri. At first, Leonora thought the game was up. She sagged against Manfred. But Yuri acted weird. He spoke to them straight away, fidgeting with the bandana that covered his head down to his eyebrows. "Take me with you," he said, "for I know what you plan and I share your goals." "What?" Leonora said. I am the man developing the new quantum computers, but my father will not allow me to follow my own research path, insisting that I follow his. It is the Japanese Giri. Obligation, you say. I am leaving the laboratories for the same reason you are. You spied on us? How? Did you think the Dragon Watches were only a gift? I knew you were coming before you arrived, because my father told me, and of course I knew of your reputation in artificial intelligence circles. So even then I aligned myself to you, creating the watches so that, at the lowest possible level, a megabyte per week no more, I was able to observe you. Joanna asked, Giri, obligation, it motivates you. Yuri shook his head. I am not wholly Japanese, but my father feels the full weight of Japanese expectation upon his shoulders. He'd rather die than fail his country. How did you get out? Manfred spluttered. How did you escape? I'm asking you. You misunderstand me. I was explaining that I escaped using an identical method to yourselves, except I had to ensure my father's cats were not alerted. Leonora felt her heart thumping. This was a disaster and an opportunity. We have no choice, she told Manfred, hoping he would not be able to see alternatives to the haze of his anger. We have to take him with us. Manfred swore, stamped, walked a few times around the boat, threw sand in the air. So it seems.
Thank you for watching this reading. Find more indie author reading library performances on our YouTube channel, along with our Meet the Author interviews and recordings of previous panels. Hit subscribe to get notifications for every new video. Find us at glasgow2024.org and as Glasgow in 2024 on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Check out our cool merch on redbubble.com/people/Glasgow2024/shop and consider joining by emailing volunteers at glasgow2024.org.